Hi everybody, welcome to our channel, Rebecca, Stu and the Crew. I'm Rebecca, and today I am going to show you guys how to make this really cute lantern using items from the Dollar Tree. We're also going to light it up with some of the LED wired lights from the Dollar Tree, and just about everything there can be found at the Dollar Tree. So here's the supplies you're going to need. So I use the wooden dowels that are 6 inches long from Dollar Tree. You'll also need a few different kits of the wood shop birdhouses. So from those kits, you're going to need 5 of the 3.5 by 2.5 inch pieces and 3 of the 1.25 by 3.5 inch pieces. You're also going to need one of the little wooden animals. You can either use the snake or the lizard. I use the lizard, but either one will do. You'll need some twine and then one of the strands of the wire LED lights. You'll also need some scissors and a hot glue gun. You can also use some paint, but that is optional. You don't have to paint it. And this is where I got the idea. At Home Depot, they have these bamboo looking lanterns, which I thought were really cute, and I thought I could recreate those with some dowel rods. So let's get crafty. So the first thing I'm going to do is take those little square pieces, they're the rectangle pieces actually from the birdhouses, and I'm going to glue 2 of these together. Now this is going to form our base at the bottom of the lanterns. You just want to put those 2 together with some hot glue and then make sure you line those up. Now you're going to take 2 dowel rods and glue those to either side of the rectangle. Then where you have those little black dots, that's where you're going to put the glue and then put the dowel rods on the top, creating like a tic-tac-toe type of board. So as you can see, that's the first row done. So I ended up doing this all the way up to like 14 different times here, so that I had 14 rows. And as you can see, this is me working from the top here when I was near finish. You just want to be careful to make sure that you're lining up those dowel rods. So it might even help to take like a book or something and put it up against the wall, and when you're placing those, just to make sure you're squaring off those dowel rods to have them nice and even. I just eyeballed mine. I got them as close as I could, but as you can see, you just keep turning it and putting those dowel rods on the top. So now for the lid, we're going to take those same rectangle pieces and we're going to glue 3 of them together this time. So this is going to create our lid that we're going to attach the lights to and that we can remove so that we can turn the lights on and off. So I glued all 3 of those together, and then I'm taking the smaller pieces, and this is where the handle is going to attach, and I'm going to build this up in the center by gluing 3 of those pieces together, being careful to line those up as I go. You can also use wood glue. I choose to use the hot glue just because it held it together really well. So that's what the top looks like so far. So now when you put the dowel rods on the lid, you want to be careful to make sure that you glue them on in the direction that it's going to sit on the lid. So depending on which row you finished with at the top of your lantern depends on which side you're going to glue the dowel rods, if that makes sense. So since this is a rectangle, you just have to decide wherever you stopped at, was it the short side or the longer side, so that you do the opposite, so that you continue the pattern throughout the lantern at the top. So mine were for the short side. So as you can see here, when I stack that on top, then it looks just like the rest of the lantern, just kind of snuggles down in there for the lid. So now I use the little lizard here, so I just use these scissors to pull out the feet there. And I did that for all 4 of those, and then decided that it was just a tad bit too long. I didn't like the ends of it, so it wasn't really uniform, so I just cut those off. I was afraid it would fall apart, but it did not. The string just held it all the way through. They're glued on there pretty well all the way through. So once I have that, this is going to be the handle for the top. So I decide where I want that, and then I put a little bit of hot glue on either side of the lid here, and then glued that on. So it was just a tad bit shorter than I would have liked. I think the snake would have actually worked better for the handle because I could have cut it a little bit longer. So to rectify that, I just took a dowel rod and cut it into about 1 inch pieces, and as you can see here, I just glued those down the side here. I did 3, I believe, on each side, and I just kept putting a little bit of hot glue and just lining those up down the side to cover up that end, and just to make it look a little bit more uniform and tie it in to the sides of the lantern there. I actually liked it a lot better this way. So I did that on both sides, and again, I just used the hot glue for that. So now that is our lid See, I got the little pieces down on the side, and then I decided to go ahead and paint these. So I just used a chalky white spray paint. Really, you don't have to paint these. The natural wood was actually really pretty. If you wanted to stain them, I do that before I put the whole thing together. I think that would be a lot easier. So then I wanted to add some twine to this to give it more of like a nautical feel. So I just tied the twine to the bottom of the lantern to a dowel rod. And then what I did is I just wove it in and out over top of each dowel rod here. So basically I'm just making like a U. So I go down through the dowel rod, up and then around just to do the loop. So once I have that done, I went back over each side and I'm just going to put a little loop over each one. So basically you're doing like the cursive letter E, if that makes sense. You're just like pulling it forward past the dowel rod, looping it around, and then pulling it tight. And as you go, you do want to keep making sure that you're keeping it tight, and then you're pushing the twine down to make sure that it's really close to the corners there. So I did this all the way down this side, and then once I got to the bottom, I just wrapped it around the bottom, and then I flipped the lantern over, and then I did the exact same thing to the other side just to give it this really cute, like woven, almost braided look down each side. So I was able to do one whole side. Then when I got to the bottom or the top, all I did was cut the twine off. I tied a little knot and put a little dot of hot glue to secure it into place. And to tell you the truth, since I only used the hot glue to put this together, it really helped to hold it together and make it really sturdy. So then I also put some twine on each side of the handles and right around the center of the handle at the top. Now to attach the LED wire lights, I just took a little bit of hot glue and glued the battery pack onto the bottom of the lid. So you want to make sure that you're gluing it so that you can remove the lid to the battery door, so you can change these batteries whenever you need to do that. Then just wrap the lights up a little bit to help get them down inside so they don't pop out through the little slats there, and then pop the lid on the top, and that is the whole lantern from start to finish. I am so happy with how this turned out. I've seen a few of these at like home goods store and things like that. Then I saw them at Home Depot, but they're a lot more money than I wanted to pay, and I really thought I could create this for myself, and I'm so happy with the way it turned out. Just a few dollars, and I just love this. I made one, and I'm actually going to go back and make another one. So with 14 rows of dowel rods to make this, it was about 10 inches tall. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe, like, and share if you enjoyed this video, and here are some other videos from our channel you might also enjoy. Have a great night.